Good morning, students. Hope you're all able to hear me. Today is the last class of this month on YouTube. I do have a class remaining on the Unacademy.com platform, but on YouTube, this is the last of this month. And as usual, I'm going through with your favorite session, which is the newspaper reading. Today, I'm going to take a special class on Unacademy.com on today's newspaper. So, this class on YouTube is not today's paper, but it's actually day before yesterday. Session, which is the newspaper reading. Today I'm going to take a special class on unacademy.com on today's. So I'm able to hear my voice. So definitely on that note, I can begin with the session proper. Now I had already informed you guys. Yeah, so I'll be taking a session on today's newspaper on unacademy.com, and this class is on the newspaper of 2 days back. Why am I taking 2 days पहले का? उसका भी कारण है. That's because that is Saturday. सैटरडे के न्यूज़पेपर में बहुत सारी फीचर आर्टिकल्स होती है, सो मैं वो डिस्कस करना चाहता हूँ. ये आपके वोकैब के लिए भी अच्छा होगा, एंड ऑफ कोर्स इट इज गुड फॉर general awareness, definitely for general awareness as well. So on that note, let me begin with today's class. Right, so welcome everybody to Unacademy's YouTube platform. This is the name of our channel, Let's Crack Management Exams. I'll quickly run through our introduction, and then this class will be relatively short, but let me just. कल भी मैंने शॉर्ट कहा था, then I took it for almost 80 minutes, so just to be prepared. Anyway, this is our channel. As I told you, let's crack management exams. This is to help you with all the management examinations. This is a brief profile of myself. My name is Aritro Dasgupta, and I've been teaching at Unacademy for the last Right. So for been teaching at Unacademy for the last 5 months now, July, August, September, October, November. Hopefully there are many more months ahead. And of course, overall, I've been teaching for more than 10 years. Now, before I started with teaching, I finished my MBA in 2010. That was in the area field of forest management from the Indian Institute of Forest Management. And my specialization was in conservation and livelihoods. It's been over a decade's work experience in the areas of teaching, training, strategy, consulting, executive recruitment, and in content writing. Most of my experience has been in India, but I've also had a stint in the Middle East and in North America. In North America, I've been published, not really worked there as such. Some of my classes have also been shown in Nigeria on in a particular university. Mm, Last 5.5 years, I've been engaged extensively with the coaching industry, and during this period, rank holders to several national level examinations have been my students. These national level examinations include the likes of CAT, CLAT, NDU, JET, etc. Okay, this is what you will receive as part of the Unacademy platform. Let me just explain all of this to you guys. First of all, you get daily live classes. You can see that. That's the name of our channel. At the bottom, you can see Crack Management Exams. तो वो वाला link आप click करेंगे तो you will get access to a number of sessions. And of course, even better, unacademy.com does have lots and lots of classes. So do go through unacademy.com as well. There are also live tests and quizzes. These are full-length mocks where the entire syllabus is asked. The course content is very well structured from the head office in Bengaluru, and we, of course, add further value to it. And of course, once you are enrolled, you can get unlimited access to the classes. So I'll just show you how you can actually get enrolled, what are the processes, so that will help you. Right. This is a list of some of our key educators. They are mostly from quants, reasoning, and verbal. I, of course, have the job of teaching you general awareness. So there are some complications because people don't take GK very seriously until the month of December. So now that your CAT is over, now for all of you, the next couple of months, general awareness becomes very important in order to crack all the entrance, all the interviews, group discussion, VAT, etc. So hopefully in the next couple of months, I will also reach a much higher figure. So these are some of the trainers you can see. You can take a look at their names, their profiles, and of course the watch minutes and number of followers. Mm, There are live classes as well, which you can go through, which is you can see the YouTube links of each of them. And this is just a sample to show you how you receive the notifications. This meanwhile is a sample of how you receive notifications for the classes. So you can also receive the notifications for individual classes. um, so there are two kinds of batches you can join. One is for a specific subject with one teacher, as you can see at the bottom, or it can be for the entire course and all the teachers. There are several teachers who are combined in that. That is at the top. So you can take any of these options. We also believe that language should be an enabler and not a divider, which is why we are present in 16 different languages. And of course, all you need to attend our classes is the digital devices, such as your mobile phone, PC, or tablet, because um, even if you miss a live class, that's not a problem. You can always take clue of the recorded sessions. You may interact with your educator anytime to get your doubts cleared. Let me show you here on the right hand side. There's the YouTube live chat window. So do feel free to interact here. To that way you can actually ask any questions you have, and I will also be quizzing you guys on there. That is the live polls. There's another method of live polls that is on unacademy.com. So do attend my sessions regularly on unacademy.com. Okay, there are live tests and quizzes, I have already told you, but more significantly, after these tests, you actually receive a detailed report and analysis so that you know where exactly you stand vis-a-vis the rest of the competition. You can see the matrices given here. So, you versus the topper, how far you are from, and what topics you're really good at, you can truly identify. It's essential for your preparations. Today, of course, is the first day at the end of this year's cat. So we are actually beginning a new season from today. It's a new beginning. Our focus all this while was mostly on our cats, but now soft skills and general awareness will become even more important in the next couple of weeks and months. Okay, there are detailed PDFs and learning material which all of you should be going through. So at the end of every class you will receive the detailed downloads for your classes, which you can always go through. That'll be of great help to everyone, right? Yeah. So today's class not much of a PDF because the newspaper itself is the PDF. That's pretty much what we're gonna do. Now this is the last slide. The price range has changed a bit. I have just received the screenshots, so I'll be able to incorporate that in this PPT only in the next class. So थोड़ा सा price change हुआ है, but still the moot point remains that the long-term courses you go for, it's far more valuable than the short-term courses. So do go ahead with either the 12-month or the 24-month. That's far more valuable because that covers everything rather than the short-term ones only. And of course, if you use my if you use my code, which is AD09, you will receive a flat 10% off. No worries there. So isko please use कीजिए, and then you will receive a flat 10% off. एक बार देख लीजिए, look into all the combinations. But as I've already suggested to you, these are the two that you should be looking at. These two, they are the best options. So go for these two. Per month cost is much less. Anyway, so hopefully we are done with this. I can now begin with the meat of today's class, which is the daily newspaper reading. So let me just fetch today's newspaper. Okay, so this is the Hindu newspaper as usual that I'm gonna start with. Right, so let's begin with the top story of the day. Hmm. I'm not going to look too much into the daily news because, as I said, ये 2 दिन पहले का अखबार है. But I'm going to look into more of the feature stories. One information which I had already discussed with you yesterday's paper, but it's present in greater detail because of the fact that it was released that time, is the fact that Indian economy has contracted by 7.5% in the second quarter of this year. This is following the record 23.9% decline in the first quarter this year. There was some expectation, there was some predictions that the economy would contract by about 10%. That has fortunately not happened. There was also another prediction at 8.6%, but this remains at 7.5, which is actually, although it is a minus 7.5, it is still better than several of the other estimates that we had. Um, Also, the base is now lower thanks to the 23% contraction in the previous quarter. So that's what makes it, shall we say, more alarming, even a 7% contraction. Now, I'll quote to you the exact words of the chief economic advisor. That person is the top economic advisor who advises the prime minister on economic issues. His name is Krishnamurthy Subramaniam. So he says we should be cautiously optimistic as the economic impact is primarily due to the pandemic, and the sustainability of the recovery depends critically on the spread of the pandemic. Those are his words exactly. I was telling you about the farmer protests, which has now reached Delhi. There's some important information from DTC, which is the Delhi Transport Corporation. DTC has been given the nod for procuring further low floor buses, 1,250 more low floor buses. Delhi, as a city, has often been praised to the hilt due to its excellent metro, but criticized for its lack of or not very uh, Sorry. Yeah. So Delhi has often been criticized for its lack of buses, the fact that the quantity is less. One of the reasons which was hampering the bus procurement was the new government norms, central government norms, which is BS6, which is a great thing in the sense that this will eventually reduce pollution. We were at BS4, Bharat standards, fourth level. We were supposed to move to BS5, but that has now gone up to BS6 because the government said instead of going to 5, let's straight away go for the latest technology because that will eventually help in curbing air pollution. So that is what took a little bit of time, but this is good news. The Delhi Transport Minister Shri Kailash Gehlot, he has confirmed that all these are low floor CNG compliant BS6 buses. CNGs BS6 compliant buses. So Bharat, the higher the level of the Bharat standards, that is more compatible. It's more efficient, which is what leads to lower emissions. And so Bharat standards and Euro standards used to be separate up until the third phase. From the fourth, they got merged the standards because the bodies realized there's no point in having so many different standards that leads to confusion among the users. So let's just increase, merge them together. So that has now come up to BS6. By the way, there was also an Unacademy ad that makes me feel really proud to see this. This is for the UPSC CSE mains. Right, let's move ahead further. Some of the local pages, not too much as I said because I don't want to get into the day-to-day stuff. The Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts may be closed for the next 3 months. It might shift to a temporary location. It will have a new campus which will be set up near the Jamnagar house. Now, there is one body in India which is the giant meter wave radio telescope (GMRT), which is based in Pune. This has been conferred with the milestone category, which is a top, category. This is by the IEEE. What is IEEE? Now, many of you might be engineers or engineering students. You guys may have some communication from Unacademy itself. So, just anyway, Kantyam. Yeah, so a lot of you might be engineers or engineering students. So some of in a lot of the colleges, there are actually chapters of IEEE. I had once done a project where I was doing write-ups for several colleges in the country. So one of them was, of course, engineering colleges, and that's when I realized that IEEE has chapters all over engineering colleges in India where they conduct a special cell. So what does IEEE stand for? It is the Institute Electrical and Electronics Engineers. It's the world's largest technical professional organization dedicated to advancing technology in all areas related to electrical and electronics engineering. So they have acknowledged this particular center. Professor Yashwant Gupta, who's the center director of the NCRA, he's in particular among those who has there are only two previous Indians who have been given this IEEE milestone. One was Jagdish Chandra Bose, who was mm, who was considered the inventor of the radio waves, although Marconi was awarded by the Nobel Committee. And also for the Nobel Prize winning in 1930, Dr. C.V. Raman had discovered the Raman effect, or what is known as scattering of light. So this is a truly significant achievement. Okay, now I'm moving on to the editorial page. One of them is a full page feature on the underworld or the crime network in the state of Karnataka. The headline says From Underworld to Broad Daylight. This article has been written by, it's actually been a full page report, so uncovered by KV Aditya Bhardwaj and Raghava M. They are the two journalists for The Hindu. So they have uncovered this thing on how the underworld used to operate from, obviously at night, sort of behind the scenes, but now it's broad daylight. Couple of murders have taken place, so there is this thing on gang wars, which is being broadly considered. These are in the cities of Udupi, Bantwal, and Bengaluru. That's where these three things have taken. A lot of the activities have taken place. There's also an article called The Global and Epidemic of Alternative Truths. He hasn't used the word pandemic, he's used the word epidemic. Uh, so, this has been written by Mr. Sukumar Muralidharan, who teaches at the School of Journalism at the O.P. Jindal Global University in Sonipat. So, he has spoken here about how the media is constantly changing and twisting facts to its own benefits. And so he's spoken about how there are social fractures within the US, because US is obviously a global leader, and that affects several other countries as well worldwide. It also talks about truth and politics and how political factions can actually lead to certain things happening. War and deception can be another force, such as in 1971 after the Pentagon Papers were published, and the role the media played during the uncovering of the Watergate scandal. That was brilliant, something regarding the Vietnam War, but a lot of times that is what gets stifled. But the role of social media, he says, is truly large. Social media can twist and alternate facts very easily, and that is something which is not possible for a lot of people to understand. Which is why I keep telling you guys in these classes that please be vigilant against fake news and tell anybody you find to fight fake news. right? Right, and the problem he says at the end is that all of this is still to be neutralized. He speaks about how the Facebook chief operating officer, Ms. Sheryl Sandberg, had been asked questions. But again, largely Facebook remains just a platform. Facebook gets away from a lot of this fake news because it says we are merely a platform. It's others who are posting. So all of that needs to be clarified, and so there need to be proper guidelines to rein in the platform-based companies. There's another article regarding the tech tat and how India must stick to rule-based approach in regulating the internet. And finally, there's a very important article on stepping out of the shadow of India's malnutrition. This has been written by Mr. Amartya Paul, who's a doctoral scholar at the Center for Development Studies, Thiruvananthapuram in Kerala, the capital of Kerala. The other is Upasak Das, who's the Presidential Fellow in Economics of Poverty Reduction Global Development Institute, which is part of the University of Manchester in the United Kingdom. So, right. So the writers have spoken about how the universalization of the PDS system, the public distribution system, can save a lot of the problems. So right now, the midday meal scheme, which is very popular all over India and has been a grand success in several parts of the country, it still remains hasn't really reached its true potential. And he feels that universalization of the process, the PDS system, can be a great thing. The PDS system needs to be more professionalized, although we still have the world's largest one. And so we've already done a lot of good things, but more can be done. He says the distribution of quality food items and, of course, the having community kitchens can be of great help. I think the state of Uttar Pradesh recently geotagged all the community kitchens. Um, So he speaks about how often in the midday meal scheme, while there are beneficiaries, they often do not really get the right nutrients. So in spite of getting the enough calories, so that way they are above malnutrition or above undernourishment, but they still remain malnutrition. There's a difference. Undernourishment is not receiving the minimum calories. Malnutrition is not getting the right calories. So he feels that in spite of undernourishment having largely been tackled, malnutrition still remains a problem. Also, another trend we've noticed, and I have noticed this while teaching, is that a lot of children in India tend to skip their breakfast, and that is a big concern. There was a recent report which was released by the FAO, the Rome-based UN body, Food and Agricultural Organization. In fact, October itself is the UN Food Day on 16th of October, the International Food Day. So they released a report, the state of food security and nutrition in the world 2020. There was also the 2020 Hunger Report, which was the Better Nutrition, Better Tomorrow. This was released by the Bread for the World Institute. So these documented the staggering facts about Indian food insecurity and malnutrition. So there are two globally recognized indicators which were used. One is the POU, or prevalence of undernourishment. The other is PMSFI, or prevalence of moderate or severe food insecurity. These two reports indicate India to be one of the most food insecure countries in the world, and also there is very high wasting. Wasting ka matlab hai when body parts do not grow during the during the growth period, which obviously lasts till you are 17, 18 typically. So dietary energy requirements are not being met. So while reduction in poverty has been significant, but more has to be done. So it also says that the decline in the food wasting has been much higher in China than in India, although China started at a lower level in India till as recently as the year 2000. Afghanistan, meanwhile, had started with a higher base than India long back, but now Afghanistan has gone down immensely. It is relatively poorer now. So there's also a food insecurity experience scale. That was a survey which was done. It covers almost 90% of the world's population. However, it was not allowed to be conducted in India, so we don't have the direct estimates. So there are lots of crucial elements that are excluded from the National Food Security Act 2013, which he feels should be included, especially in the wake of the recent pandemic. There was another report called the Hunger Watch, which was by the Right to Food campaign. They have also come up with a pretty grim situation. A lot of states in India have for temporarily resorted to improving the the food this thing during the food distribution during the pandemic. However, this has led to a deterioration in food quality because again the diet is not balanced. They're not looking at a variety of ingredients here. So again, these are some of the things that need to be addressed, and he ends this article by talking about the World Food Program of the United Nations, which received the Nobel Prize this year, and that of course should bring to the fore how extremely essential is the need for greater food distribution. And he says that hopefully the PDS in India can address all these concerns. The state of Madhya Pradesh has now established a new information commission helpline for all RTI related queries, right to information. There is also this interesting article by the CMFRI, which stands for the Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute, which is based in Bengaluru. So they say that there's a certain sea sparkle that has affected the marine food chain. There is a particular, shall we say, weed or a certain microorganism called the Noctiluca scintillans, which has been found on the Karnataka coastline. They have displaced the microscopic algae. This has led to a certain sparkle on the sea. Looks good, but that has affected the food chain on the sea enormously because they have replaced microscopic algae which were consumed by several sea creatures. These are not easily consumable. This has been over the last 1 month. So this is deprived food for the planktivorous fish, which is a fish which consume planktons, because these are not really planktons. Uh, so the principal scientist of the CMFRI, also she's the Mangaluru head. Her name is Dr. Pratibha Rohit. She has told the Hindu about this thing, and they're actually linked with massive fish and marine invertebrate kills. Invertebrate, the ones which do not have a vertebra or the backbone. This does not. This species does not produce a toxin, so that way it's not harmful per se, but it does accumulate toxic levels of ammonia, which is excreted into the surrounding water, possibly acting as the killing agent in blooms. Right? It's not 100% confirmed yet, but it is understandable. This particular sea sparkle. It is unpalatable to most species. Only jellyfish and salps are known to prey on this particular species, right? Mm, so across the Arabian Sea, this might be right now. It's in Karnataka, mainly in the Dakshin Kannada district, and also in Mattu, which is in Udupi. The Someshwara beach, they have Someshwara beach, which is in Dakshin Kannada, and the Mattu beach, which is in Udupi. They are the ones which have most closely observed this, but there is a fear that it might have spread to other neighboring states on the coastline, Goa, Maharashtra, Kerala, all of which occupy the Arabian Sea. Uh, Plankton bloom has also been observed in some parts. Hopefully, this can nullify the effects of the sea sparkle. Right. There is a lot of movement in the West Bengal cabinet. Shubhendu Adhikari, who was one of the top ministers in the Trinamool Congress government, he has quit his cabinet position. He's yet to quit the Trinamool Congress party. He used to hold the portfolio for irrigation, but he has now resigned from his ministerial post, and he has been speaking against the chief minister for some time. So it is widely expected that he will leave the party as well. Um, so uh, there is a lot of speculation right now. There's some speculation linking him to the to moving to the Congress, some to the BJP. Most likely, it says now maybe the BJP. So let's just wait. Maybe a day or two, things will get clear. India and Vietnam, meanwhile, have held bilateral discussions. India's Defense Minister Sri Rajnath Singh, he has met his Vietnamese counterpart, Mr. General Ngoc Xuan Lik. This was to discuss collaboration in industry capability building, training, and cooperation in the United Nations peacekeeping operations, where this was done through video conferencing, and these two countries are jointly involved in several peacekeeping missions worldwide. So the idea is to work together. They have actually signed an implementing arrangement for cooperation in the field of hydrography, which is a study of the oceans. And this is between the National Hydrography Office in India and the Vietnam Hydrographic Office. This is being signed in the presence of the two ministers. The Congress party paid the final respects to Mr. Sri Taran Gogoi and Sri Ahmed Patel, two of the stalwarts of the party who recently passed away. Uh, Sri Ramvilas Paswan recently passed away. So he, of course, was from the Lok Janshakti Party, which is part of the NDA at the center. The BJP has nominated Sri Sushil Kumar Modi, who has on several occasions been the Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar. He's considered very close to Nitish Kumar, the CM of Bihar. However, this time he has not been inducted into the Bihar cabinet. So he's likely this time he has been named for the Rajya Sabha. The polls will take place on 27th December for that seat. I had told you about a sparkling stone that was discovered in Nagaland. And in fact, yesterday I did discuss that it was most likely quartz and not diamond, as several people in Nagaland's Mon district thought initially. Mm, the Mizoram State Assembly has disqualified its speaker, Mr. Laldu Homa. Laldu Homa he was an independent MLA, but he joined the ZPP party, Zoram People's Party. Zoran People's Movement, ZPM, which is one of the opposition parties in Mizoram. But of course, you cannot change your political affiliation while holding a post. So that's why, under the 10th schedule of the Indian Constitution, which is the anti defection law, he has been disqualified. He holds the dubious distinction of also being the first ever member of parliament to be disqualified under the law when it was introduced back in 1988. 30 years later, the same thing has happened. In 1984, he qualified as an MP of the Congress party, but he fell out of the leadership. In 1988, he formed the Mizo National Union, which later merged with the Mizoram People's Convention. However, he was disqualified because of his change in party. Later on, he joined the MNF, Mizo National Front, but from there he formed his own party, the Zoram Nationalist Party. So there has been a lot of movement. Last time, of course, he contested and he won a seat as an independent. So now he has been disqualified. The ICMR, or the Indian Council for Medical Research, has, in a discussion with the CSIR, or the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, they have a particular center called CCMB, which stands for the Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology. They have given the permission. This CCMB recently developed a new mechanism for COVID testing. It is the same RT-PCR which we have been following for a long time, except that this one uses dry swabs. So this took a bit of time in getting the nod, but now the ICMR has approved of this. This is a cost-effective and simple method which will help in scaling up the testing. However, it will remain, it will have a pretty good accuracy rate, unlike the say RATs, the rapid antigen tests, which were not considered really accurate. The RT-PCR stands for real-time polymerase chain reaction. Yesterday, I also told you about the RT-LAMP, which is another latest test which has been, sort of started. China, meanwhile, has set up a 200% tax on Australian wine because China is now doing a probe on the origin of coronavirus, and they feel that maybe Australia was one of the countries where it all started. A top Iranian nuclear scientist, Dr. Mohsin Fakhrizadeh, has been killed by a surprise attack. Iran is blaming Israel. Some are also blaming USA for this. It's unclear what exactly has happened right now. Jair Bolsonaro, the president of Brazil, meanwhile says he doesn't believe in the vaccine, so he will not take the vaccine. So Joe Biden, meanwhile, who's the president-elect of the U.S., has started picking his cabinet. Now that his cabinet does seem to be in shape, it seems as that he has created the right platform for this. It seems that most of his cabinet belong to sort of a centrist political, center. Left is the liberal, politically left is the liberal, right is the conservative. So he seems to have a very centrist approach. Now moving on to the business pages, the core sector, which includes eight sectors, core sector contraction has widened to 2.5% in the month of October. Steel production has shrunk again. The only sector of these eight which has actually increased is cement. Cement has posted growth. Oil sector has been among the worst affected, falling 17%. Natural gas output has fallen 8.6%, while crude oil production has fallen 6.2%. Nationwide fiscal deficit is not looking good at all. It has reached 120% of the annual targets. In the month of October, the non-food bank credit growth slows. While in another news, Vodafone Idea partners with firms to add non-core revenue. So they are looking to ally with other firms in order to take the behemoth, which is now Reliance Jio. So there are telco allies such as with edtech and wellness startups to lift the engagement. They've already set up agreements with Udemy, with Upgrad, with CureFit, and 1mg to provide exclusive offers to those who have this thing, and a lot of this is part of their 4G push. There's a company called Hetero, which has been confirmed to produce the Russia's Sputnik 5 vaccine in India. I've already told you DRL or Dr. Reddy's Laboratories will be the distributors of the original ones, which will come from Russia, but there will also be the production of around 100 million doses within India as part of Hetero. The Sovereign Wealth Fund of Russia, which is the RDIF, they are the ones who will be doing this distribution in terms of the financial planning. The RDIF stands for Russian Direct Investment Fund. DHFL is set to be sold, and for that, the Adanis are right now on top of the bid. They have set out a 33,000 crore offer. E-tailers, they're the ones who have bringing joy to the Indian business scene. They have done an $8.3 billion business in the October-November period. E-tailers, of course, are online retailers. Flipkart has dominated the festive scene, doing better than Amazon or Snapdeal, getting 66% of the total figure of this. This is a 65% year-on-year growth from last year. That is phenomenal. And out of this, 66% goes to goes to Flipkart. This is as per the Red Seer Consulting, which did this particular study. In spite of BPCL privatization, the government has confirmed that LPG customers the subsidy will remain. Burger King India has now gone for an IPO, initial public offering. This will raise up to 810 crores. There's a company called All, which is Ashok Leyland Limited. They've got a UK arm, Optare. Optare has now been renamed as Switch Mobility. That is the same thing, just like they do here, trucks. It's doing the same in the UK. It's part of the Hinduja group, the Hinduja brothers, based in London. They're among the richest in the UK. Right. Finally, I'm moving on to the sports pages. I told you how Napoli, the football club where Diego Maradona played for several years, they honored Maradona. Of course, they even won a game. So just to give you a roundup of matches, there were lots of Europa League matches. Europa League is the secondary league of Europe. You have the Champions League, which is the most elite. That's followed by the Europa League. So in the Europa League, you had. Shall we say, Molda, which is the club from Norway. They lost at home 3-0 to Arsenal, for whom the Cote d'Ivoire winger Nicolas Pepe scored one of the goals. Reece Nielsen, the youngster, scored another, and another goal was scored by Balagun. Bayer Leverkusen, the German team, which barely missed out of the Champions League last season, they finished fifth in the league. I think they finished just a point behind Borussia Mönchengladbach. A point more, they would have been in the UEFA Champions League, and not the less prestigious and less financially rewarding Europa League. So, Bayer Leverkusen, meanwhile, I just had to connect the charger, so that took a bit of time. Bayer Leverkusen has won 4-1 against the Israeli club Hapoel Tel Aviv. With goals from it's just written Hapoel, so I'm not sure it's Hapoel Tel Aviv or Hapoel Haifa, because there's a Hapoel team in both Haifa and in Tel Aviv. Anyway, Patrick Schick, the Czech forward, I think he's a really elegant player. The way he plays reminds me a lot of the Bulgarian striker Dimitar Berbatov. So Patrick Schick scored the first goal. He signed this summer from AS Roma. He spent half a season on loan last season at RB Leipzig, where he formed a terrific partnership with Timo Werner. Um, he scored one of the goals. A Jamaican winger, Leon Bailey, scored another. Karim Demirbe, who's a homegrown product, he scored one. While long-term Argentinian striker, he's been with the club for several years now. Lucas Alario, he added the fourth goal. Dutch club AZ Alkmaar could only draw 0-0 with Spanish club Real Sociedad. Adnan Januzaj, the once wonder boy from Manchester United, the Belgian winger, he does play for Real Sociedad. Um, Sociedad, by the way, Real, they are from San Sebastian, which is in the Basque country. Probably one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Amazingly beautiful. So AZ Alkmaar drew, I told you. Napoli, I told you they defeated Rijeka 2-0. Herving Lozano, the Mexican forward, scoring one of the goals. The other goal was an own goal. Portuguese club Sporting Braga drew 3-all with Leicester City, for whom Harvey Barnes scored one of the. All the three goals were scored by English players. The young fullback Thomas scoring one, Harvey Barnes, the winger, scoring the first one, while Jamie Vardy, last year's top scorer in the English Premier League, scoring the last one, an equalizer deep into injury time. French club SC Lille could only draw 1-all with Italian giants AC Milan, for whom Samu Castillejo scored the only goal. I'm happy to call AC Milan European giants, Italian giants. They had been giants in the game for several decades, but the last decade has been terribly cruel to them. Right now, things are looking up. If I'm not wrong, they are leading the Serie A. They may not win it, but even if they finish in the top 3 4, I think it'll be a great season if they are back in the UEFA Champions League. Tottenham Hotspurs, meanwhile, won 4-0 against Bulgarian club Ludogorets. Carlos Vinicius, who was signed this summer on a loan from Benfica, scoring a double, the Brazilian forward. Harry Winks scored an absolute belter of a goal, but he himself admitted he never meant that. He meant it as a cross to Gareth Bale, and somehow it reached the goal. Jose Mourinho said he shouldn't have been so honest. And of course, Brazilian forward Lucas Moura added the fourth goal. Uh, New Zealand has defeated the West Indies in the first T20 international between the two teams as part of a recent series. Match was held in Auckland. Australia, of course, defeated India in the first one day international held in Sydney's SCG. in a massive game in Kolkata. The ATK Mohan Bagan defeated East Bengal 2-0. The first time ever these two teams played in the ISL. Right, fair enough. The Premier Badminton League, this was scheduled for December, January, has now been delayed, as confirmed by the Sports Live Managing Director, Mr. Prasad Mangipudi. In an interesting move, West Bengal, the state, and especially the city of Kolkata, very fond of Diego Maradona and generally mad about football. So there's a small town called Barashat there, which is sort of on the outskirts of Kolkata. There, a cricket stadium has been named after the football legend Diego Armando Maradona. Right, mostly I'm pretty done. The Olympics set to be hosted next year in Tokyo. They will be hosting some test events in March just to see whether they can continue with the games or whether they need further delay. It was delayed from last summer, due to the COVID-19 crisis. The FIFA, the world regulatory body in football, they have released their latest rankings. Belgium remains rank one on this. France is second, while Brazil is third, and England is fourth. Portugal is fifth. Spain is sixth. The European draw for the European 2020 next year will be held on 7th December. England and the Netherlands were set to play a couple of one-day internationals. This has now been delayed to 2022. That's because the Netherlands did not want to have matches without people at the stadium, because obviously Netherlands is not an established cricketing power, so they need the fans in the stadiums. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. So 2022, they will be having football giants Manchester United. They have suffered a cyber attack, so that is why. However, customer data remains safe, so they are now looking at getting things back on track. Right, so I'm more or less done with the session. This is my code at the bottom, AD09. Please feel free to use this. And you know the drill. Do like my session. Help me with shares. Help it among your friends. And especially now, they need a lot of GK the next couple of months. Do subscribe to my session, especially on unacademy.com. And do feel free to comment on the comments window. I'll keep the session open for a couple of minutes just in case. Let's see how things, in case you guys have any questions, and then I will be able to wrap up the session. But as I said, today's newspaper also I'm gonna cover, so please do not miss the session. 1:30 p.m. today it is scheduled for. Right, let me just check for the comments. Okay, fair enough. I think we can wrap up the session now. Thank you so much, guys. Wonderful interacting with you all. See you all very soon. Do not miss the class today at 1:30 p.m. Thank you all.